know what? And it's so funny because people tell me, oh, um, okay, is this? Okay, I'm live on YouTube now. Thank goodness. Yay. Okay, and I'm live on Facebook, and as a matter of fact, there's two different cameras that I am streaming on, and I don't know what the flavor, what the difference will be. I know before, when I streamed live, there was a lag in between that. So I want to say welcome back to the folks who follow me on YouTube, and good morning as usual to those on Facebook. So I've been talking about, just for a few minutes, I didn't mean to get into this as a topic, so to speak, but the story of Abraham, and Mike brought up the idea about Isaac, which came later when Abraham was told to sacrifice his son that he had been waiting on for 2 lifetimes, it seems like, because he didn't have him until late in his 90s, I do believe, and then was asked to sacrifice him, and that, you know, from the story, you know, that is when God said, wait, and showed him the ram in the bush. But before that, there was this, you know, this journey out of being Abram into being Abraham, so to speak. And it was because he got direction that he was supposed to leave his father's house, move into a different place. And so you know, for all of us, I think that there are times in our lives when we go through those periods where, you know, that it's time for us to make a move. It's time for us to make changes in our life. And do we have the faith, the courage to do so? And a lot of times people, even, you know what, people don't even have the courage to change their mind half the time. I've seen people who, because they decide, they'll say yes to I'll use my personal example and the example of so many others. In marriage, right? People get proposed to and they say yes. And then because they feel like they have invested so much in the yes, whether it's the planning or people's expectations or any number of things, they get this feeling that, oh, this is not right, or this is not going to work out. And they don't even have the courage to change their minds. So we have this thing where we're getting messages all the time, but we don't have the courage all the time to say yes to that. And so it becomes problematic, because part of what we're supposed to be doing is we're given opportunities to build the musculature that allows us to hear and respond to the directions that we are given. And that is not what happens. That's not what happens. We're so busy worried about other people's opinions of us. We're busy worried about the fallout from things. We're busy worried about other stuff rather than what you're directed to do. And so that becomes this thing of, you know, this morning I read this quote in this book, The Yamas and the Niyamas, and the quote said that most people wear their God around on their wrist, right? You know, they let the clock or the time rule them, rule their life, rule their day. Some people drive their golden calves around the neighborhood. Some people think that their titles, their position, their money, their prestige, whatever that might be, even though we don't call it a God, the ways in which we worship it, that we bow down to it, that we put it up on a throne, says that it is. It says absolutely that that is our God. And so at a certain point, it hopefully is before 75, right? We learn that even that is not it. So to always be mindful and conscious. Is she still whistling for that dog? To be mindful and conscious that that what you are about, what your life is about, is not about that stuff, but it's rather about this inner direction, this inner calling to be able to hear and respond to that still small voice. So Isaac was given a big thing, right? To sacrifice his son. He was given a huge thing to do, and he was able to answer the call. We're given little stuff, and half the time people are unable to respond and say, God, here I am, right? Yes, to say yes to it, right? And so all of this stuff is a beautiful way of then looking at our own yeses and our own resistance. What are you resisting? And what do you know that you're supposed to do? I mean that right there, okay, now he's back home. That right there is a question for us to ponder. And why, right? Why? And sometimes I don't know who you think is guiding and directing your stuff, right? Guiding and directing the choices that you make. I don't know who you perceive as doing that. But when things come up, it's not just to be dismissed summarily. Like, say for instance, if you were told that, that you're supposed to move, to leave. Okay, so I started off and I said I was not going to do this. Like it's like I'm doing a sermon, but we go from, Abraham, right? So he changes his name and says now he is the father of many, right? So there's that change. But there's also the story that is coinciding with this, that is interwoven in that, the story of Lot. And y'all, that is so good. It's so good. We, a lot of times I am so, I try to be a student of life, right? And I try to juxtapose the things that, that I read and I learn, whether it's from the Bible or whether it's from mythology or whatever. They all have stories for us to sit back and ponder and think, where in my life am I having this experience, right? And so, in the story of Lot, those two angels showed up, and that's such a freaking juicy story. And they were like telling him that he had to leave Sodom. And so at first it was so hilarious. They told him, to leave, and he goes and he tries to talk to his son-in-laws and all of that stuff, and they kind of laughed at him. And he was really resistant. Somebody in the class was talking about how he started trying to negotiate and maneuver and all of these other things so that he wouldn't have to leave this place. And so they told him to go into the mountains. The mountains represent like a higher state of consciousness, some height to it. It's like that place. I could talk about the difference in the choices that they made, but it's like we resist, y'all. Oh my gosh. There was one day, I'm gonna tell y'all this. There was one day I was talk about obedience. Oh my gosh. There have been times when I have just been disobedient, and not out of any other reason other than just not having the faith to do something different. I was at a school one day, and I was looking out at this intersection. I was in a position where I could see a whole lot of stuff. It's like being on a mountaintop, and I could see a whole lot of stuff going on. And I got a clear message that said that this place is like an energy vortex, and it'll suck the very energy that is your life, that is your life source, your substance. It will literally suck it, drain it from you, right? I saw this so clearly in my mind, and there was a part of me that was like, you know, oh, not me. And I thought, I looked around like, I got to get out of here. Well, here I am, I'm going to say 20 years later, and I'm still in this city. I'm still here. So like Abram got the message that it's time for you to leave your father's house and go to the place I tell you, right? I'm not even going to tell you where you're going before you get there. I want you to pack up your stuff and go. And so how often do we, because, you know, I will tell y'all, I used to get maps and put it down and think like, okay, I'm gonna take I got this thing, I don't even know where it is, it's somewhere on my desk, but I was like, I'm gonna do one of those things like you see in the movies where I'm gonna put this pendulum over it and see where it lands. I'm gonna throw a dart at it and see where it lands. I'm gonna throw something at it and see where it lands to tell me where I'm supposed to go, because there was a part of me that just wanted to have a destination in mind, so maybe I could set something up. Could you imagine what Abram was going through at the time, to trying to think about, well, wait a minute, what do you mean you'll tell me when I get there that I'm in the right place? How much food do I need to prepare for this journey? What kind of stuff, provisions do I need in order to go? I mean, we have 1,001 questions that get in our way from us doing what it is that we're called to do. And so sometimes it is so much less, right? It is so much less. Sometimes it is, we get the feeling that this job is killing us. We get the feeling that a relationship is killing us. Even a food that you're eating, you get this sensation, this is not good for me. And most people just can't comply. You sit there and you smoke cigarettes and you know that there is evidence that said it's not good for you. But people cannot, they have this, just doing the small stuff. And so, I love the examples that these stories bring for us. And if we breathe into it, into the spaces around it, and not just look at it about, it was Abraham, but put yourself in that place. How many times have you been told something, to do something, to go somewhere, how many times have you heard that message and chosen otherwise? And then I'm not saying to backtrack, because we're always in our divine right space, because there is going to be, something that comes up that challenges, what it is, like just even this, right? Even as you ponder this, do we have enough faith to say yes to the promptings that Spirit gives us? Do we have enough faith? This story a lot. I don't want to get into this story a lot, but do you know that when the angels came into the city, and Lot was like, trying to, come over here, and and I'm gonna tell y'all exactly how this is gonna go, because I don't want anything to befall these two. That's what he was trying to do. He was trying to, protect them. And they came in there because the Sodom needed to go, right? And so then men saw them coming in, and the men came of the city, right? They said young and old. It was like all of these people, they came and they knocked on the door. Now I don't even know what doors were like back then, but they knocked on his door and said, send out those two men that we saw go into your house. And Lot is like standing up there at the door. Hey Walker, good morning. Lot is up there standing at the door like, y'all, no, you can't have them. Like, they angels of God. You can't, what you want to do? What? Look, I got two daughters that are virgins. Y'all can have them, but not these two guys. Can you imagine? Oh gosh. Y'all not feeling me. Right? This is the story. He was saying, y'all can have my two virgin daughters, but these two men, they under my protection. So we always get stuck on Lot's wife, but that whole little cesspool right there. I mean, but Sodom is got all of these, and that was why it had to go. It was just an abomination. And so Lot, they were sending him out of there. He had faith, but his faith was not in God, but is in what his own abilities and all of this other stuff, all this worldly stuff. But it wasn't like the faith of Abraham that was just following Spirit, following God. And so it's funny the way that whole story just unfolds and what is there for us. The lesson in Lot's wife was, when say for instance, we have a lot of people that leave this town. They leave this city, but the city does not leave them, right? There is this pull, this drawback, when somebody tells you don't look back. We still romanticize about it in our minds. I met this woman one time at an event, and she talked about how she had moved back here to take care of her parents. And anyway, she moved back here from California to take care of her parents. And she talked a little bit about her life in California. She had actually gotten a divorce and was probably in that hang period, that period of indecision. And she decided to move back here and to take care of her parents. That was part of her narrative. And she said that she moved, when she moved back here, she said her children who came with her had never experienced the kind of racism and prejudice that they experienced here. And at the time, she was in a quandary because she didn't know what to do. Now, I've heard this story before because I heard it from an African woman that was giving a talk. And she said that she came here to this country to work and she brought her children with her. And she says, and for the first time, she heard anything like that was a racialized world. She said when she started hearing her children talk, immediately, she said she knew that she needed to take her children back to Africa because she did not think that they had, she said the she had the blessing of growing up in a culture where she was seen and accepted for who she was. And she wanted them to have that same grounding in who they were before they ever got exposed to the kind of toxicity that they would have here in the country. So she knew that it was something that she had to do. We see and we know that we put ourselves in situations, and true, I'm saying you're always in a position where you get to be at choice and make choices about who you are, who you're going to be, how you're going to flow in the world. We are at choice. And so if that is the opportunity is to choose faith rather than fear, right? Lot was told to go into the mountains, and he was like, no, I'll die there, right? He wasn't ready for an elevated consciousness. He said, you know what, I'm going to go to Zor. And what is Zor? When you look up the meaning of Zor, Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, when you look up the meaning of Zor, Z-O-A-R, it said smallness, small-minded thinking. Can you imagine? You're going from Sodom and Gomorrah, that cesspool, into small-minded thinking when God is trying to elevate you. That's a lot of times what we do, because we don't think that we are in a position to handle the blessings that are being sent our way. Y'all, I am praying for you. And knowing that you have the courage to do what is before you to do, to say yes to your greatness, to say yes to the, I started off with this saying, ooh, I love me, right? To say yes to just loving yourself and loving yourself enough to do what's for your highest and best good. And so when you start unpacking the stuff, when you start unpacking the stories, when you start unpacking what does this mean in my life, right? What does it mean? Why am I hearing this today? Right? What position am I in? What choices am I looking at? When you look at that, man, this stuff, I tell you, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. So I'm so grateful for these lessons and what they come to bring. It is so juicy to me. So I know it is. It's the bottom of the hour, and I try to be off of here by 9:30, and so if somebody has something, you want to type it in the window. I don't know you're here unless you shout out, say something in the thing. But I'm about to read this, the daily guide, which I do every day. Daily guide comes out of Science of Mind magazine, and it is written this month of June by Reverend Christy Hardwick. And so this one is called Pray Without Ceasing. Y'all, I forgot to mention, it is the summer solstice. And so during the summer solstice, I don't know if any of you are conscious of the blessings that come. You are, I don't like to make it seem like we are earthlings, but we're not just earthlings. We are part of an amazing universe, and that is working on our behalf. And during times like this, the earth is at this amazing point, this amazing position. Is kind of like being at the optimal point of stuff, right? So this is like the longest day of the year, and then it starts to decrease again. Darn it, the sunlight starts to decrease. Like we get to this point, it's the longest day, and then now it starts to kind of minute by minute dial back until we get to, you know. Anyway, so that just means that, today, set some stuff in place, right? Set about this day with intention, right? Be prayerful and intentional about your own life, right? If it is to get to a place of self-acceptance and self-love, begin to speak that over your life. If it is about and I love coming in here talking about these things, because faith is not necessarily, so many people think it's about, how many blessings I get as far as material stuff. That's really not it. It's like this, what I love about the way that God uses me is through the messaging that I receive, the ability to hear. And so it's not about accumulation of things. If you're, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with that, but sometimes we get really discouraged when we're looking for things, right? Rather than the flow, rather than being a participant in this overall stuff. Don't get caught up on the things, on the appearances, right? Yeah, so don't get caught up on the appearances. Don't get caught up on how much money you got, or this or that or the other, whether or not and so sometimes it's people get caught up on, am I loved? You are loved, absolutely. You are already always loved. Viking, what's up? So you are always loved. Always. In always. Right? And so the questions that are here for you is not necessarily about, some of that stuff that we make it seem about. It is about so much more. So today, because it is the solstice, the summer solstice, there is this magnification of energy that is around you. Let's ride that wave, right? Let's ride the wave of the energetic wave that is taking place on this planet. As you look out, bless not only yourself, but bless others. Because what you send out, you receive back. It's like the universe is made so that there is a reciprocal relationship with all things. So what you send out, you get back. So as you bless me, you bless yourself, right? Because we're all connected. So be about the business of being intentional with this day. Don't just sit by and think, it's just another day. Yes, bless this earth, bless the universe, bless everybody you come in contact with, knowing that as you give, you receive, right? That's so good. If I do say so myself, right? So let me read for you this the daily guides, y'all, because y'all know I could get off on all of this stuff just myself, right? So the title of this particular writing for today is called "Pray Without Ceasing," and she takes her first quote. Do you know there's two quotes with this? She takes her first quote from Dionne Warwick. The moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you. I do. I really do. It comes from that song. Oh my gosh, I do say a prayer for you. Even before I come in here, y'all know I do a head blessing and all of that stuff. I say a prayer for you. And then from Ernest Holmes, How to Use the Science of Mind, it says, whatever process of reasoning you go through to convince yourself of divine perfection is of no particular importance. It is a realization of this perfection that heals. So see it as you want it to be, right? see the perfection, feel it, right? Not, right? Don't get caught up in the things that you don't want to experience. See what it is that you do. So let me, I'm going to, here's what Reverend Christy Hardwick wrote for today. Having a practice of prayer makes my life work, she says. I don't reserve prayer for when something is or is not happening. I pray to remember who I am every day. Good. Prayer is like spiritual savings account. The consciousness you develop or accumulate is there to draw on at any time. I appreciate the expression pray without ceasing. In today's world, we need to live in a constant awareness of love and live in a constant prayer of love. I pray while walking, doing dishes, looking at sunsets, and bathing my body. I use spiritual mind treatments in my prayers by starting with the recognition of God as all sufficiency. Knowing I am one with it, declaring my good is at hand, and being grateful in advance that it is already done. The formula for prayer is not where the power lies. The power lies in the practice and in the feeling of unity that we experience. In addition to prayer, she goes on, when I am focused on knowing the truth, I meditate. In meditation, I listen and let my heart speak. I don't try to clear my mind. I let go of trying. In meditation, I rest from making an effort. Each day I spend a few minutes just noticing my aliveness. This is meditation, and meditation for my soul. Prayer and meditation are like the cycle of breath, inhaling and exhaling. I receive, I know, I release, and I let go. So the affirmation that she put with this is I pray without ceasing. I know everything I need is right where I am. Prayer is a gift I give myself. That's good. That's good. That's good. Right? There's so many spots in there where I could have just gone off on a whole tangent and said a little bit about that, because it's such a incredibly wonderful and juicy thing. So to pray, and not pray thinking like, oh, I wonder if, right? Because part of what she said in there is that I am one with that. You know, I am my Father is one, is what Jesus said. You say the same thing. I am one with. I am one with the life that is God's life. There is but one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. I am one with that. And so it's not a possibility of my prayer not being heard. It is an impossibility that I am ignored. It just doesn't compute. Now, does that mean that I get, exactly what it is that I'm asking for? No. Because sometimes I don't even know what I'm supposed to be asking for. Ooh, y'all not feeling me, right? Because here, I'm giving you an example. We pray for, like, let me just throw out something. We pray for something like a shiny red apple. A shiny red apple. Ooh, and you're thinking about how you want it to taste and all of that other stuff. So you pray for this shiny red apple. But really, it's not the apple that we need. It's the, what can that apple, what is it doing for me? What is it giving to me? That was one of the wonderful things that I learned from Dr. Brown when we started talking about that, who we are. You think of it as I am the I, right? I am the me. But if you can imagine that you literally have 1 trillion cells that make up this entity called you. They participate in this being called you, and they all of this, all of this is asking or wanting something, right? That desire for the shiny red apple could be fulfilling a need that I'm not conscious of. But what I think I need is the shiny red apple. What you think you need is a husband or a wife. When really what you're missing is the love that you ought to have for yourself, or the love that God has for you, and you're looking to find it out in the world. Develop it right where you are, and then watch it blossom into more. We think we want stuff, but the stuff is really a covering for the truth that wants to emerge through you. But you don't have a lot of times the courage to say yes to it. And maybe that's why it took Abram until he got 75 years old to finally leave the limitation of being in his father's house to set out and become father of nations. I'm just saying. All right, y'all. So with that, I'm going to jump off of here. I trust and believe that we have all been blessed, because I know that I have. And so if I have, you can't help but be blessed too, because we're all connected. Happy summer solstice to you. I'm sending you love and blessings, and knowing that all things, even before you know it, is working out for your good. So, peace and blessings to Grace and Peace. Wednesday blessings from downtown. Thank you, Sarika. Love you, dear. Walker, grace and peace to you. Look, from Vegas, or you know. But y'all, thank you for being here. And I'll be here, like I said, tomorrow. Red-eyed and bushy-tailed. I don't know. Am I going to be doing this bike riding thing every morning? It's pretty fun, but you know, whew, it ain't no joke. I like it. I like it early, before people start speeding around me. Yeah. All right. Y'all take care. Yeah. Peace. And I'm out of here. Bye. Am I still on here?